Okay, we should last some more. Nila Satota, Matthew Mepto, Sawanoki, Lanawaki, Oklahoma. Pikuita, the Sawanoki, Kiachamolek. I have been given the honor to prepare the meal for today's. It's a good day to be Indigenous. And many of you, familiar faces that I've seen, this movement is definitely making its way. For about 30 years, we've been working for this. We've been working towards this. We've been trying to find our way, trying to get these resources together. And ever since I was young, coming up through the ranks of the kitchens, I've had the opportunity to work for about 15 indigenous tribes across the United States and their casinos trying to reestablish foodways and their food offerings, not only in casinos, but also in their communities. My journey started in Oklahoma when I was a kid in the little town of Little Axe, Oklahoma. It's a little Shawnee town where squirrel is the main menu item. So it's native fast food, if you know what I mean. So we have given the opportunity to be able to bring and find these food pathways for many tribes. I've been given the opportunity to be blessed with the gift of gab, as you can say. I've traveled to every 49 of the 50 states, Canada and Mexico, and I've had the opportunity to speak with many tribes on these pandemics, these issues with these children, these ways that have been given people problems with medicine, with health, with mental status. And over these years, I've been able to take back a lot of my knowledge from what I've once thought I knew as a young child and now be able to bring it together as I'm getting older. So one thing that I noticed for the many years that I've been doing this, we talk about these children with these suicide issues, these health issues, our elders passing away. We're breaking that circle of life. Our children don't know their grandparents. Our grandparents don't know their grandchildren. We're dying too early. We're not able to take care of and nurture our families in that way. And over these years of talking with these people across the United States, including Canada and Mexico, a lot of it goes back to our food. It goes back to what we have not been able to be afforded as proper nutrition, brain development, personal development. All these aches and pains and these autoimmune diseases are all linked to what this continent thinks that we need to eat. And for many of us that have been speaking today, we've given the opportunity to know that America has contributed so much of this food pathways to the world. And we've saved this world in a lot of ways, and keeping this nutrition going. But America has also devastated it. It's taken this food and it's made it inedible. You can buy all this. And one of my Great Britain friends that just spoke to me earlier said that it's atrocity when he came over here to see what was in those stores. Plastic food. And he's right. Once an elder once told us that you can take something edible and make it inedible in less than 100 years. And that's what we've done. And so now it's time for us to reclaim it, these opportunities. These people I've been to over these years, we've all had this little effort, these little community efforts of bringing this food together. But now we're getting mainstream, we're getting bigger, we're getting larger, and these food offerings are going to be there. So it's fantastic for me as a chef who's done this for 30 years, for 28 years professionally in my life, and to be able to see this. Years ago, I fought with the USDA. Many of the tribal members would bring their food in, and I would prepare it, and the USDA shut us down. In New York, they put the what do they call it? The National Guard. They put them at the borders of the reservation and told us that these people cannot eat in your restaurants if you're not serving USDA inspected food. And we fought against them. We went face to face with them. We stood on the highways and we stared them down and said, "Go feed your children that. Don't let us eat it." And we stood there and we fought these battles. So now we're here. USDA is relaxing. That pyramid is upside down now, and we know that. So now it's our turn to reclaim it back. Just real quick, I'm going to let you eat, but I'm going to explain my menu and kind of directive of it. We talked about these key terms of sovereignty. We talked about these key terms of Three Sisters gardening. We talk about the spirituality of food. And then for us people, we just had our harvest dance this past weekend. Unfortunately, I'm here spending it with you, and I love that part about it. But my people, they know where I'm at. They know what I'm doing, and they know my efforts. And we as a people, Indigenous, from around this continent to even South America up to North America, Central America, we celebrate our food. We know how important our food is. And that's one thing. These songs we sing, these things we do for ourselves, for our children, to teach them these ways of living. when we say, yo no hey we ha, ho ya ne wa hi no we ha, ho ya ne wa hi no we ha, ho ya na we he le ya, ho ya na we he la, we he ya. That's a bean dance from Scuchita, Quebec, Quebec. That means we celebrate those. We know that. We know this time of year. So today I want to treat you guys. I've been given the opportunity. I said, take it as deep as you want. I really wish I could. The sourcing of the food is really tough during these times because these groups that are planting these large gardens, they're right in the middle of this harvest. They're right in the middle of growth. So what we have to do is we have to kind of find those derivatives, and that's what I did today. I've carried a lot of these trade items that I've carried with these other tribes. Ukwahi Gardens with the Websters up in Wisconsin, the White Earth people with their wild rice, the maple syrup from the Oneidas. I carried a lot of this with me, and I trade everywhere I go. So today, I get to treat you with a Three Sisters stew. We have fire roasted turkey, or wapipalawa is what it was called. It was a wild bird, and it was one of the main sources for these areas up in here. With the pasole, or the hominy corn that we take when we nixtamalize it. White and red beans and summer squash in your Three Sisters soup, paying homage to that birth of our people. Your second one is your bison and wild rice for all you in Quesabays and your Omaha tribes. Be careful, all right? Eat on that side of the pan. I'm kidding. I don't know. But the wild rice comes from the White Earth people, and you know we've had good trade with them for a long time. And I did that with a little bit of charred onion for our spring onions. We have roasted pumpkin puree with maple syrup, pepitas, and dried berries. You know, anything that you could transport, that you could trade, is what you kept on you at all times. And then the way we serve this, we have a little boiled cornbread that I bring down here from the Mohawk people and the Six Nations people. So you have white corn and black bean fritters. And then I finish it up with one of my grandmothers. She's in Muskogee Creek from Oklahoma. But she always did a toasted corn and cinnamon tea, and that's on your far end there. And then I bring with me the Haudenosaunee spring drink, the strawberry and maple drink. That's up there also. So, and over on the table is just a little bit of citrus water for you lightweights. So you sweet people. But it's been an honor to be able to bring this. And I will tell you, for all these years growing up, cooking for people, I didn't know how to eat. I didn't know what this was about. And now I suffer. I suffer from that addiction. I must have that. Chips. Chips are my downfall. I'd probably be big around as my wife over here, but the chips just sit on my counter for too long. I don't know why. But, you know, that's an addiction. You know, it doesn't have to be alcohol, drugs, it's food. And that's what we do. We're addicted to things. So, and we also had this conversation. If you really understood what it takes to produce your food, you would appreciate it. And if we ate the way we ate 100 years ago, we could feed a whole village off of one farm. Today, we'd eat a whole farm in a week. We'd eat a whole bison herd in probably a month. So you have to really, really believe how you're eating today isn't how we're supposed to eat. Your body only eats for sustenance, and that's what it's for. Sometimes it's good to taste something good, and I hope you like what I chose today. But also, last thing I have to say is, George Washington remarked in his little accounts of how Shawnee, Lenape, and the warriors would travel. These troops would pull these big wagon trains of food, but us would carry one little pouch of tobacco, or one little pouch of cornmeal on our belt loop here. We put it right here, and we could last for weeks on one little bag of cornmeal. And that's how we traveled. They knew how light we packed, and we knew what we had to do to be on hunting trips, to be on journeys. We couldn't carry all that stuff with us. That's not how this was. So we always give thanks to all the things that we learn as we're learning these new, coming back to us and finding out our ways of life again. And again, it's an honor to be able to serve this food for you, and I appreciate the group here. And Louis, he came and met me, and he looked right in my eye. He looked right in my eye, and he says, I want you to cook for me. So, but I appreciate everything they've done for me, and I really think, and I hope you guys get to try a little something new. The way you do your cornbread is you take a little bit of bread, and then you put your stew right on top of it, okay? So that's how you eat that. So, but everybody enjoy yourself. I'll be over there if you have any questions, and we'll continue to talk as we move along. So, Yahweh. Omichira, Wikiniko, everyone. So being able to bring them all together in a journey, from taking these grains, these offerings of the earth, these three sisters that have been sent here, and to be able to prepare them where you could eat them daily. I have to share a quick story because this was something that affects many of us. As far as indigenous people, we're very highly susceptible to autoimmune diseases and diabetes and high blood pressure and cholesterol. And I'm not saying I'm the most fit guy in the world, but I've done a lot better over the years as I moved along. And one of the things I did about 5 years ago was I hit a 410 on my A1C, I hit a 30 or 13 on my A1C. And that's deadly, right? And cholesterol was off the roof. I could actually probably just sit down in water and float without even trying. And that was kind of my issues growing up. And I worked in kitchens from sun up to sundown, and I didn't get to see my family a lot, and I was just really tormented on my body, so I let it go. So when I finally broke down and went to the doctor, they said, "Congratulations, you got the highest A1C on the reservation." So I still got that honor on my shelf. But I didn't want to poke myself anymore. I watched my grandfather do that, and I watched my grandmother do that, and losing appendages and, really taking care of them in that way. And my kids are here, and they never got to meet them. They never got to meet my grandparents because they were cut short on that cycle of life. And we didn't get the opportunity to let them grow and find those things that are valuable for each and every one of us to understand in this place we call life. So what I did was I took it upon myself. I said, I'm not going to go down with meds. I'm not going to put these statins in my body because I tried it before and my body's not happy with that. It can't do it. I get sick and it hurts. Joints hurt. You can't move. And so I said I'm going to do this differently. So what I did was I started with just broths, vegetable broth. I decided to go ahead and do the vegan because I had thought about it for a long time, and so I did 2 weeks of just vegetable broths. Anything I wanted to throw in water and cook and just drink the broths, and I started that. So and I tracked everything I ate. I watched the way I ate, and then I started eating the vegetables, and I eliminated any kind of oil products, anything that was unnatural, that was refined. And so I did the whole process. I included salt, I included spices, I included some vinegars. But I went back at 30 days, and from 13.1 down to 9 in 30 days, the doctor that was treating me said, I've done this my whole life. I'm 72 years old and I've never seen anybody drop an A1C like that. So he made me come back the next day and do another blood draw. And I was down to 8.9 overnight. And so 30 days on that vegetable diet, I decided to go ahead and keep it going, to say, let's try this, let's see what happens. So I started doing more vegetables. I cooked it every way I thought possible. Fermentation processes, everything I could think of to make a vegetable taste good, right? Besides going out and make, dirt pies yourself or cutting a lawn and making a salad. I went out and made everything that I could with any vegetable. And so I tracked, and I went back and I told the doctor, I want another test at 60 days. So he went back and he says, I can guarantee you I don't see that. He says, but we'll go ahead and do it. My blood pressure was actually just still a little bit high, but it was a lot better than the 110 over 100, and about ready to blow up type, individual. So he took my blood that 60 days, and I was down to a 5.8 in 60 days. And he says, usually it takes 90 days to lose 1 point. And he says, I don't understand how you're losing that many points with A1C. And so I kept it going for the 90 days. And finally, I was right at the 5.1, high fours. And he says, a doctor, this contemporary medicine is something's proven me wrong, he says. I don't know if it's just that everybody's different and they react differently. He says, but we're taught to treat people, not heal people. That's what doctors are for. They're to treat you. They're to give you those drugs. And he says, in 72 years of my life, he says, you've taught me something new here. And I said, it's the healing of food, and we knew that. We know that food is healing if it's used properly. So my little journey, my story as a chef, you think we would probably eat the best food around, but when you're done at midnight and you're going till 2 a.m., that fried bologna sandwich sounds pretty good, and you don't eat all day, but you just don't take care of yourself like that, But now as I'm getting older and trying to teach my kids the worst part about this society we're living in now, that this food guide is telling us to eat these proper ways, is my children are eating stuff at school that I wouldn't serve them. And when we were growing up, my wife is Filipino, and she eats a lot of vegetable, a lot of fish. This much meat feeds their whole family of 10, and everything else is vegetable and stuff like that. And so when she got here, she started to experience the American diet and started seeing rashes, skin rashes, unhealthy feelings, depression, sadness. You know, and it's not from being married to me. It was, you know, because of that diet does that to us. You know, it makes us feel that way. And after you eat and you feel worse than before you ate, you're living in a bad place. You know, and that's something that I'm learning as I'm getting older. I'm 46 years old. I'm not the youngest, but I'm not the oldest. But I fooled myself all these years with this food, and now I'm finding it. I'm seeing what it is. But the worst part about it is my children are now food shamed at school. When they were eating all this healthy food at school, they get to school and these kids shame them for eating this stuff. And now McDonald's is a favorite, you know, and it really tears me up inside to see my kids go through that. And no matter how much we put on the plate to make them want to eat, it's a hassle, you know, and you know, I almost want to wrestle them to the ground and force feed them, but foie gras is outlawed, so I can't do that anymore. But, you know, I just wanted to share that with you on this, and I do appreciate everyone having the opportunity to try a little bit of something today. You know, maybe it wasn't your bag of tea, but I'm proud of what I get to do and bring it to people. And many of these tribes that are out here that are doing these, I want to use your products. I want to be able to find your products on the shelves, and I want to be able to utilize them. Because sourcing these is very few and far between. You have to drive a long way to find these places. So, but they are out there, and one day I want to see them mainstream and being able to change that food guide for each and every one of us. So, appreciate it, and Yahweh once again, and Shalom Kika Nola, everyone get home safely, as we say. So.